One second. Right. Yeah, okay. Start.
3, 2, 1, take.
At the start of this particular second session of the debate, a couple of interesting points for us to ponder. Now, the port limits of the Murmugaon Port Trust, it was defined and declared by the Ministry of Transport on 16 November 1963. It covers the entire area of from Kortali Jetty to Rajbhavan Donapal, the entire coastline of Murmugaon Taluka up to and including the ROC beach, extending and including the coastline on both sides of the Betul beach. This was the original jurisdiction. Then on July 9th, 2001, 16,29,795 square meters within and around the Murmugaon Port Trust and Vasco da Gama was handed over to the MPT by the then Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar. Now the issue is, one can actually see the amount of kind of largesse that has been given to the MPT without showing any disrespect to the fact that the port is needed and it performs an economic function. But it just shows that, you know, we have bent, the state of Goa has gone head over heels in giving the Murmugaon Port Trust both land and jurisdiction way beyond what the people of Goa feel comfortable with. It's not about being legal or illegal, but the people of Goa feel uncomfortable with, particularly because they feel that the land allotted to MPT in proportion to the land Goa has and the size of Goa is absolutely disproportionate, and this is where the problem lies. The problem, you know, people feel that on one hand they are getting the Navy breathing down their neck. On the other hand, people feel that the MPT is breathing down their neck, primarily in amount of the land acquisition that is taking place, and that is something, that's a feeling that has not really been addressed by the by the powers that be. I'll start with you, Shankar, and all three of you can respond to what I just said.
आता ॲक्च्युली पळोवंक जाल्यार MPT इज प्लेईंग अ मेजर एजंट रोल टू सेंटर. आतां हांगासर जे लँड ग्रॅबिंग तुमी आतां जे MPT आतां करपाक सोदता म्हणटा आमी, सो हे लँड आतां जे 16 लाख स्क्वेअर मिटर लँड इज नॉट अ स्मॉल अमाउंट. सो आतां हे जे लँड ते ग्रॅब या हे जे आतां लँड जे ग्रॅब करून आतां ते म्हणटा कितें आमी पोर्ट चलयतले म्हणून. ओके, व्हेरी गुड. आयज गोंयान एक्चुअली पळोवंक वचत जाल्यार पोर्टाक आतां हे MPT पोर्टाक म्हणटा ते व्हडलो बिझनस ना बिसायड्स कोल कितें. सो बिसायड्स कोल जर बिझनस ना जाल्यार इन शॉर्ट तुमी कोलूच हाडटले हांगासर, आनी एवरीवेर आतां कोल तुमकां हांगा हाडपाक सवाय पडटा. फॉर एक्झाम्पल अदानी JSW जे कोल हाडटा हांगा आनी दे वॉन्ट टू एक्सपांड इट. सो हांकां आमचे रिवर्स जे तेंच्यांनी आतां नॅशनलायज केले ते कित्याक जाय, रिवर्स तांकां कोल ट्रान्सपोर्टेशन करपाक जाय. सो आयज जे सगळे एक्वायर करून हे जे लँड ग्रॅबिंग चल्लां हे एक कोल लॉबी खातीर. आमी फ्रँकली उलोवया, ते आनी लिपोवन कांय हे करपाचें ना. आमी फ्रँकली उलोवया की हे कोल लॉबी खातीर चल्लां कितें. आनी जे क्रॉनिक कॅपिटलिस्ट दिल्लीन बसले हे सगळे MPTक आतां एक मध्ये घालून सगळे ग्रॅबिंगाचें काम चालू केलां हेंच्यांनी. आनी आमचे जे लोक आहा आयज जे आमचे फिशरमॅन भाव झगडटा, आय स्टे इन वास्को मुर्मुगांव, आमचे खारेवाड्याचे भाव आपली घरां वाचोवपाक झगडटा. आयज तांकां इतले स्ट्रगल करचें पडटा की सडनली मदीं केन्ना येता आनी ते डेमोलिशन म्हणून हे करता कितें. आनी ते एक्चुअली MPT कडेन पळोवंक वचत जाल्यार हे डॉक्युमेंटेशन म्हाका दिसना PDAचे डॉक्युमेंट तेंचे कडेन आसा कशें. ते फक्त सेंटराचे एक्टाचेर येवन हे सगळे ग्रॅब करपाचें तेंच्यांनी आतां षडयंत्र केलां. आनी आयज जे ते पोर्ट एक्सपान्शन तुमी करता म्हणटा सपोज जाल्यार हेतून व्हडले लॉस जातले आमचे जे एग्रीकल्चर जे लोक करतात आनी फिशरमॅन भाव जे आहा हेंकां फाल्यां सकाळीं हेंच्या फुड्यान तकली सकयल घालची पडटली की बाबा रे आमकां परमिशन दिया, नाल्यार आमकां इदां ती तुमचे कडल्यान तेंचे कडल्यान आमची जागा आमी 10 रुपयान दिल्या तांकां, तेंचे कडल्यान ते आतां लोकांक 10,000 विकता आनी आमकांय मागीर त्याच रेटीन तेंचे कडल्यान परत घेवची पडटली. सो आयज इन शॉर्ट पळोवंक वचत जाल्यार हे आतां जे सगळें चालू आहा हेका आमी लँड ग्रॅबिंग म्हणूंक शकता. जे क्रॉनिक कॅपिटलिस्ट आतां गोंया एक्वायर करपाक सोदता थ्रू दीस पोर्ट. आतां अदानीन ऑलरेडी कितले पोर्ट्स आतां एक्वायर केलेले आहा ऑलरेडी कितें. आनी हांगा जे चल्लां ते हांगा कशें चल्लां, आमचो जो वॉयस आहा तो सरप्रास करून हे सगळे आतां लोकांचो आवाज दामून डिक्टेटरशीप करून डेमोक्रेसी म्हणटा ती ना. आयज जर थंय तूं उलोवंक वचत जाल्यार तुजेर ते फॉर एक्झाम्पल आतां आमी रेल्वे डबल ट्रॅकिंगा खातीर एजिटेशन केल्लेले आमचे कितलेशे एक्टिविस्टांचेर बेश्टे केसी घातले आनी ते केसीस आमकां हे करपाक हुबली बिबली वयचे पडटा आमच्या लोकांक. सो आयज आनी तुमी म्हणटाले आतां की लोक कित्याक भायर सरना. आयज लोकांच्या मनान तो भंय घालून थेयला ह्या सरकारान आनी आमचे एमएलए एमपी आमकां सपोर्ट करिना. स्वताचे गोंयचे भायले सोडूनच दी. आयज आमचे हे लोक हे करना. आयज एक्टिविस्ट आयज दिसान दीस एक नवो एक्टिविस्ट वयर सरता. कित्याक वयर सरता ह्या कारणा खातीर की गव्हर्मेंट इज नॉट सपोर्टिंग लोकल्स. गव्हर्मेंट आयज सेंटराकसून जी ऑर्डर येता कितें त्या ऑर्डरीचेर आयज हे करपाक लागले, काम करपाक लागले. कितें फॉरेस्ट डिस्ट्रक्शन म्हणनाका, मागीर मरीन लायफ डिस्ट्रॉय कर म्हणनाका. हे सगळें आयज चल्लां हे पॉलिटिशियनांच्या आनी पॉलिटिशियनांच्या आशिर्वादान. आनी हेतून लॉस एकाच मनशाक जातलें, गोंयकाराक.
Honestly, the thing is, on the same issue, why is there a feeling that the central authorities, on one hand the government says that the port, the airports and the Navy, they're all needed. These are agencies that are needed for the development of Goa, security of Goa and so on and so forth. Why have we not been able to solve this conflict between the people and authorities like the MPT or the Navy? Why are these institutions seen as land grabbers of sorts? Why does this tussle never end?
See, the thing is the sad thing is that this present government is aligning too much towards a capitalist structure. So they, now see, we know, for example, Adani. Nobody knew Adani 10 years back. Today, Adani is the 6th world largest, richest person in the world. Why he's become rich? Because of ports. All of the ports in India are handled by Adani. So what happens now when, see, in the past also government brought lots of projects. Let it be the SEZ in Goa, let it be the Nylon 66 in Goa, or let it be the CMZ in Goa, the division of CRZ. But at that time the government believed in the democratic principles of the constitution led by B.R. Ambedkar. But today the government is diverting. You cannot think that you can become like China. We know what is happening in China. Don't try to copy China or other Western countries. Today we have seen Sri Lanka, how it is going to a death knell. You are investing in one sector, and that is SEZs first came in thinking that there will be cheap form of goods. There will be more output. Exports will be more. Today government is coming to the coastal areas. What are the implications? We have more than 2 crores who are dependent on fishing as their livelihood. We have tourism as one of the biggest backbone of especially Goa's industry. So certainly when you get such projects and which are not in the interest of the state and environment as a large, try to understand Goa is a very small state and it has a very ecological fragile ecosystem. That's why the CRZ had special consideration for Goa itself, looking at the environment.
Right.
So when we destroy environment, what is going to be the future of Goa and Goans? We have seen what is happening in the African countries, where there the government went haywire to exploit the resources. Today they have nothing left. Today the future of Africans they have no future in their own land. That's why they are migrating. That's why they are there in all other activities. I have visited South Africa itself, in Johannesburg, where we have seen where groundwater, air, everything is polluted. Nothing can be done. So this should not arise here in Goa or India. So government has to listen to the genuine voices of the people. This is not politics. This is not to score a political point or to be elected for the next time. No. This is for our future generation. Government has to think far-sighted. See, we have this National Green Tribunal court in Pune. Today it's not active till date. Why it is not active? Only because Pune had 3 ranges, that is Maharashtra, Goa, Gujarat.
Yes.
From Goa, there were 70% of cases in that court.
Right.
And just because, in fact, we managed to stall lots of projects to the National Green Tribunal because it's a tribunal which protects the environment and uphold the law. So if you are not allowing us to, you are not doing your duty. We are doing our duty. So you are blocking us. You are demolishing institutions. For what? For who? And for how long? This is what government has to understand, that this is not for the next 20 years, but this is for the next century which has to last. We have seen the climate change going in a rapid space. Sea level rise is increasing. Lot of Goa coastline, almost 23-25% of the coastline has been eroded, and it's going fast. We have seen this time weather condition, we are having rains throughout the year. Why this is? Because the minute we damage the biodiversity, there is going to be repercussions in all sectors, and finally it will be at that end for all of us.
Roshan, taking on the same theme, you see the people and the institutions, people and authorities, whether they are central authorities and the local authorities. Why are we in a conflict situation? In the sense that, taking off from where Valencio left off, we repeatedly the battle has been more in the different tribunals, in the different courts. You see the big fight going on with regard to the Western bypass, where people want it on stilts, and that has become a big issue. If we look at the sand mining issue again, which is again in the court, where Claude and Norma are fighting. So if you look at every issue that has been taken up, you see issues of course double tracking and other issues that we've also seen, fish workers' rights, which Alencio fights for. Where are we going wrong? Where is the society and where is the governance going wrong for all this to happen?
I think if I sum it up in one word, it's all in this word called greed. It starts from when a person wants to enter politics itself. I'm not talking about the good guys who are trying to enter, but if you see these habitual politicians, they have never done anything good in their political life. They are not doing anything good, and you cannot expect anything good from them in the future.
Right.
This is point blank. So when you have people like this who are into the system, there is no way that they can think, or they can, reason out, or they can have a feeling. Their conscience is dead basically towards Goa.
Right.
Now, there are some of them who, like I said earlier,
Right.
they may understand the importance of Goa, but then they have political pressure, so their mouths are shut. Their posts are at stake. Their doings are at stake, their hidings are at stake, so there's so much at stake, so they cannot say. But there is a other section who don't understand what Goa is. As all three of us spoke and you also spoke about Goa being this beautiful environment blessed area, and major source of income is tourism. Okay. The other source of income and livelihood is fishermen. The third one was agriculture. I'm saying was because today you know where agriculture
You're
is.
perfectly right. You're perfectly
We are
right.
growing buildings rather than food.
Yes.
So these two are the main sectors that made Goa. You also mentioned about security for Goa. I can openly say that even a terrorist comes to Goa not to destroy it, he comes to Goa for a holiday. Goa is known for that. Even a terrorist comes to Goa for a holiday, not to attack it. And this is a well-known fact. People all over India come to Goa. This has to be maintained. Goa, golden goose is tourism. Now, if we destroy the golden goose with acts like this, what is left? What I have seen is a little bit of what my father enjoyed. My father has seen little bit of what his grandfather kept for him. What have we kept for our children? And I keep repeatedly saying this. In Kandolim today, I buy water to drink. Why is that? So to buy that water, I need to work extra. Where is the job? I'm not a fisherman. I don't have a field. So where do I go? There are no jobs. Now in this comes your schemes, 2,000 rupees, some Ladli Lakshmi, and some 500 thrown here, and election time some 5,000 given to the family. Is this what I'm going to survive on?
Right. Now, interestingly, let us go back to one point that you raised, that these kind of acts are a death knell for tourism, which is the golden goose. Just elaborate on that point a little bit. I'll just quote 2 or 3 sections of the act which you might take into reference when you're answering this particular thing. See, the Major Ports Act, there are 3 draconian, we feel they are draconian sections. Section 22.2, Section 22.3 and Section 25, also Section 26.2. There are four sections without going to absolute details because it gets too legal. But what is important is one particular section which is simple. It says all port assets shall be used and developed as per regulations made by the board, now the authority, in that behalf and to the exclusion of any municipal, local and government regulation. I will park one more thought before I request him to answer, Roshan to answer. The second is that if there is any conflict between the master plan of the Ports Authority and any local authority, be it the municipality or the panchayat and what have you, the master plan created by the board shall prevail. That is very clear. It says again and again. This is mentioned in Section 25 and also mentioned in Section 26. Now, this is where the issue is, that ultimately the authorities will prevail over all local bodies. If you might want to take this into consideration when responding to this whole question of how does this authority affect the golden goose of tourism.
Yeah, like now, just as you rightly pointed out, basically the authority has got powers over all these particular areas. We know that it is the water area as well as part of the coast. Now, in the water we have fishing.
Yes.
Besides fishing, we have tourism activities. Okay, like you have your boat rides, etc.
That's right.
What will happen now is that in addition to your regular licenses, you will have to get a separate license from the MPA.
Right.
Now, who is MPA? MPA here again is not the government, and this is something interesting. MPA is not the government. They are looking at PPP model, which is private partnership. First thing, why private partnership?
Public-private partnership.
Public-private. Why is it? It is showing that the ones who have actual control are not able to control. They are an incapable government. They are not able to raise the standard of their own government, nor are they able to raise locals to handle this. They should have had our own local corporations or institutes who are going to handle these areas. They are not able to. So even that they are giving on private partnership. Now, who are these? They are big people. They don't look at one guy coming with a water sport jet ski trying to make business there. For him, he is nothing. So
Right.
what will happen? They will start demanding their own rates. There is nothing mentioned about rates. There is nothing mentioned about the timing. Tomorrow they will say, no, you are allowed to use it only from 9 in the morning to 12. After that, we need it. So all these
Or the
things are-
timeline for giving these permissions, sir.
Yes.
The delivery timeline.
They may
Yes.
say that
Yes.
your boat can operate only from 9 to 12. After that, we want. So how much are we going to fight? Now what happens in this? Tourism gets affected. People don't get up at 12 in the morning. Okay, they had a late night. They will not have tourism. They don't have water sports. So then they start reducing. Tourists start reducing. You will have ports over there. You will have port related activities. There will be trucks. There will be that kind of labor coming.
But
in.
what about tourism in the northern belt? That doesn't get affected, no?
No, it goes right up
switches.
to it goes up to Vagator. That's
And this side it goes up to Betul almost, right?
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
Right,
definitely.
Right. Okay.
So that is one thing. Then you have regulations over all our guest houses. You have regulations over the shacks. They come in those areas.
Right.
What's going to happen of all of them? And when you're looking at private partners, these are businessmen. They are
Right.
not coming to invest their social time
Right.
in the port. They are coming to make money. So every small sector that is there, according to them, which is small, will be a source of income for them, and they
Right.
will try to take as much as they can. They'll be paying for it also. They'll be paying the
Absolutely.
for the place.
Coming to the next segment, which is connected but yet important to treat separately, is activists versus the government. Now, it is sad even as we say this, even as these words come out of one's mouth, it is sad because when you say activists versus government, and we are not talking of any one government, we are not talking parties here, it's not BJP, it's not Congress, it's not any other party, fundamentally it's a people versus the system debate which we are looking into. Activists meaning people, the government meaning the system. The people versus the system. The terminology is ironic because it should be people and the system rather than people versus system. I will go straight deep dive into the current burning issue at hand, where all of you are involved directly in fighting against criminal cases lodged against 4 activists who participated in the candlelit vigil on November 2nd, the intervening night of November 1st and 2nd, 2020, on the railway tracks of Shandor, lighting candles and demonstrating a wonderfully solemn and a dignified people's peaceful protest against the double tracking that was going on. And while there were almost 50,000 people present there, I would easily say that there were, it could be a little less or it could be a little more, but give and take, because since I personally was there as well, watching the whole proceedings, there were people from all walks of life. There were politicians, there were activists. I'm sure all of you or some of you were definitely there, and the thing is, what has hurt people is that there were 4 out of those 4 people who were there were handpicked and criminal cases were filed against them just for that whole peaceful assembly, and they were considered as trespassers and damaging public property and what have you. Going into that case very briefly, Olencio, but let us look at the larger message that this gives and how people take it. Can you just elaborate a little bit on this?
See, I think the government of the day, if you see activists today, or even the center, they treat activists like anti-nationals. They'll put these sections. There are so many people, youngsters who have been arrested in the courts, different courts. We have seen Father Stan Swami also,
That's right.
who died in the jail itself. So this thing saying that activists are against the government or development is a very wrong notion, and it happens because when you are biased towards an individual or an association or a company. Now see, if you've seen, we have this country called Ireland, where that prime minister appointed a environment minister
Right.
from an NGO head. Environmental NGO. Why? Simply because that country, there is huge melting of ice taking place and large chunk of this area is getting covered up in water.
Right.
So they have taken it so seriously. If they have taken it so seriously, why is India or Goa not taking it so seriously? Why are we considered as that activist is doing wrong things? We are doing something what we are trying to open up the government eyes. Yes, probably they are stuck to issue of governance, which is a huge subject, which I understand their pressure. But maybe outside, for us sitting outside, it's easy for us to understand the implication for the years together what is going to happen. So when our intentions are serious, I think government has to realize it, that this what we are doing is a serious thing. Because if you see, if I am not mistaken, it was this government, BJP government, who opposed SEZ.
That's correct.
Why you opposed SEZ? Why you opposed SEZ? What you're bringing today is 10 times worse than SEZ. You opposed it one day. Now what we are doing, you're saying we are anti-nationals or we are activists, conflicting or whatever. So we want to make this government understand. Not that officers, there are a lot of officers in the government who are dead against this project. But yes, because some restrictions, they're tight. And they
Which project are you talking about?
I'm talking about all projects in general, railway,
The linear project.
the railway thing, everything. But sadly, government does not understand this. So I'm hoping that government takes this in a true spirit and understand that we are in a democratic concept. And if you only favor one person,
Right.
then you're going to destroy the entire system.
Right.
And then it will be too late for us to come back. We don't want this state to be like Sri Lanka. It's a very
Correct.
live example what we have.
And that might happen.
That will definitely happen.
Right.
Because once you destroy a natural resource
Right.
or a traditional livelihood,
Right.
then you know what is going to happen. We have seen COVID, what has happened. In COVID, we migrated to several countries for a better opportunity.
That's correct.
We came back and we went to our grassroots because we had those grassroots still there.
Right.
We had the field, we had the water, we had the sea, etc. But certain countries, there is nothing left. So try to understand this is environment is in a big threat, is the biggest issue, global issue. We are talking about zero carbon emission by 2050 or 2070.
Right.
So here we are going full power against it. Where are the steps to reduce this?
Right.
So we are saying think now before it's too late. Otherwise, we don't want to be a state which has nothing. Goa is golden goose is said. That's why the people of the world come to Goa.
Right.
But if our beaches are gone,
Right.
then what do we have? I have just visited Andhra Pradesh. I have seen most of the coastal areas are eroded completely.
Right.
There are boulders there. We don't want this thing to happen in Goa. If it happens in Goa, I don't think no tourists will come to Goa. And Goa is known for its sandy beaches across Goa.
Good. Shankar, you have, of course, been a street fighter. On the 15th of June 2020, you were arrested for making a viral video on the pandemic.
Yep.
Then, of course, you have faced a lot of police action and others. Why do you get the feeling that to fight for the people, you need to confront the police and the law all the time? Why do you feel so? Why does the law think that you are breaking the law when you're fighting for the people?
एक्चुली मेन प्रॉब्लम कितें जाता हांगासर तूं जेन्ना खरें उलयता आनी सत्य उलयता न्हू ते एक्सेप्ट करपाक सोदिना स्पेशली पुलीस ऑल्सो एंड पॉलिटिशियन्स ऑल्सो आतां आयज जे एक्टिविस्ट जे फेस करता जे आयज एक्टिविस्टांक जे त्रास जाता ते पॉलिटिशियनांक त्रास जायना आयज ईच एंड एवरी टायम आयज म्हाजें जाल्यार म्हणणें अशें की इफ सपोज एक्टिविस्ट गोंयांत नासलेले जाल्यार ह्या पॉलिटिशियनांनी गोंयांत सगळें आतांच हिकून खाल्लेलें इतल्यान कित्याक आमी आयज मोपा एअरपोर्ट जर पळयलो सपोज न्हू आतां मातशें थंय या आमी कित्याक सांग हांवें फेस केला म्हणून सांगता आनी मोपा एअरपोर्ट आयज जी परिस्थिती आहा तुमी 1 लाख झाडां मारली म्हणटा पर्यावरण ते नश्ट केले ते एनिमल्सांक थंयसर एनिमल बर्ड्स वेदे कितें हेंकां सगळ्यांक बेगर केले तुमी आनी थंय जे झरे बिरे व्हांवताले ते लास्ट टायम वेन हॅड बीन ते तुळसकर वाडीचे लोक थंय रडटाले थंय बसून कित्याक सांग तेंचे टोटल जे लायव्हलीहूड आहा न्हू तांकां नळाच्या उदकाची गरज नासली तो जो झरे व्हांवताले न्हू तेचेरूच ते डिपेंड आसलेले सो हे सगळें जेन्ना सरकार टोटल डिस्ट्रॉय करता आनी आमी जेन्ना एक्टिविस्ट उलयता तेन्ना तांकां ते दुखता कित्याक तेंचे ऑलरेडी वयर सेटींग जाल्लेलें आसता की बाबा रे हें आपूण तुका दिला मोदी कोणी वचना सो आमचे मागीर जे डेडिकेटेड जांकां गोंयांत नश्ट जाल्लेले नाका कितें ते थंय येवन उलय तुका मागीर पुलिसांकूय त्रास जाता आनी पॉलिटिशियनांकूय त्रास जाता पळयता आमी आयज आमची शेत जमिनी बीन आहा न्हू आयज म्हाका सांग जे शेतां खातीर शेत जमिनी वाचोवपाक दोंगर वाचोवपाक मागीर झाडां पेडां वाचोवपाक हे जे लोक झगडटा हे पिशे म्हणून झगडटा खंय ना खंय तरी एक तथ्य आहा न्हू म्हाका स्कुलान शिकयलां हांव एक गांवठी भाशेन तुमकां सांगता म्हाका स्कुलान शिकयलां जनवरांक मारूंक जायना म्हणून झाडां कापूंक जायना म्हणून जाल्यार आयज हे शिकलेले सवरलेले पॉलिटिशियन पळय तुमी आतां एक स्टेटमेंट आयकला आसतलें देर आर नो टायगर्स इन जंगल्स इट सिम्स आयज गोंयांत टायगर्स ना म्हणटा सो ह्या स्टेटमेंटाचेर आय स्पेशली वेंट टू दॅट अनमोड घाट आनी थंय वचून तांकां दाखोवन हांवें तो व्हिडियो काडून व्हायरल केलेलो कित्याक सांग हांकां प्रत्यक्षान जमीन तूं दाखयना न्हू तूं बेश्टो उलयलो जाल्यार तुका मागीर सकाळी फुडें पुलीस धाडटा घरा कडेन ते सो आयज पॉलिटिशियन आनी एक्टिविस्ट हे एकामेकाचे हे रायवल कशे जाल्लेले आहा हांव जाल्यार एक्टिविस्टांच्या फेवरान उलयतलो कित्याक सांग म्हाका जाल्यार अशें दिसता आतां तुमी फॉर एग्जाम्पल MPT MPA जावपाक कारण कोण तर आयज आमी श्रीपाद नायकाक धाडला नॉर्थ गोवासून मागीर सार्दिनाक धाडला सावथ गोवासून विनय तेंडुलकर बसलेलो आहा कितें एज अ कितें आयज ह्या पॉलिटिशियनां खातीर गोंय काबार जाला न्हू आनी आमी गोंयकार आयज ऑलन्सियो फूल टायम आपलो एक्टिविजमाक दिता तो रोशन फूल टायम एक्टिविजम अशे इतले लोक जे आहा एक्टिविस्ट जे नीस आमचे बँक बॅलन्स सगळ्यांचे चॅक करपाचे आनी पॉलिटिशियनांचे चॅक करपाचे तुमकां कितें ते आन्सर मेळटले मागीर इन शॉर्ट इतलेंच म्हाजें म्हणणें
Well, let's see this. While we are winding down this debate and talking about activism in Goans, we've spoken about many issues. See, if you see all major issues, starting from going to the courts to see that oxygen supply is restored to people during COVID, to even the smallest of issues with regard to our environment, whether you look at sand mining, whether you look at illegal transportation of ore on trucks, on so many issues. There is this, the NGT in Pune and now in Delhi seems to be completely full of cases coming from Goa, as you also rightly said. And Roshan right in the beginning made this very important point. Do you also concur that now in frustration, the battle is being fought in the courts, and of course it takes a lot of very brave litigants and also a lot of brave and selfless lawyers who are also fighting pro bono in these cases, which is actually keeping Goa alive. But the sad part here, and I will end the debate on this note when you all complete what you have to say, is that instead of the battle being fought in the people's court, one has to completely knock the judicial courts, those of the judiciary, because somehow the people's court is not being able to get that justice in in a speedy manner?
Yeah, see, what has happened in the past, we have fought several agitations like the Zuari Agrochemical, SEZ. In fact, in the Zuari Agrochemical industry, when we fought the agitation, the Water Pollution Act also came into force
Right.
in India.
Right.
It was started from that. So Goans are known to protect the environment because we love environment. Now what happens is when the government thinks that they are the best and they can do anything they want, and that's the time when it's not that the people are not there, people are definitely there with us, but when the government is not listening, we are then forced to go to the courts. As you said, it's said that even oxygen to provide the court has to pull up the government. So somewhere the government focus is somewhere else. So they have to come to proper governance. They have to understand the issues of the people. They are talking about big high-end tourism, all these big talks which have been given, rosy picture which is given, and I think they are all promises made, but in reality it is completely different. Today, in fact, the NGT Pune is still not functional. We have to go to the NGT Delhi. Why these atrocities on genuine people who are really, want to save Goa? If it was not for Jack Sikir, today these 40 MLAs will have not been there. We have probably represented by one MLA in the state of Goa.
State of Maharashtra.
State of Maharashtra.
Yeah.
So this government has to understand that quality opposition or suggestions has to be taken the true spirit of democracy, and this will ultimately help you and your government to survive for the future also. No, so it's not that we are just opposing
Correct.
it, or maybe we have some vested interest. It's not that. If you perform well, you'll definitely be there for the future. So do what people want. Keep what people are happy. In Bhutan, we have this happiness ministry.
That's right.
They have gone so.
There's something
deep
called the
into
happiness index, happiness quotient, all that. Yes.
in
yes,
Bhutan.
correct. Yes.
Why not in India? Can we today, if you have a survey, can we say that anyone is happy in Goa? No. So somewhere or another, government should work more, be more proactive, and take our suggestion and objection in a positive spirit.
Some people are happy, obviously, because Goa is thriving.
I'm scared of such a survey because I'm sure that will also be rigged. It may show 99%.
Roshan, last word from you before I conclude, and again on the same thought. See, the people sometimes joke here in Goa that most Goans and activists know the names of the benches and judges, and which judge is retiring and which judge is coming, and who in the NGT. They know more about this than who the Secretary of Health or Secretary of Environment or Forest is. But it is not really a joke, is it? Isn't it?
It's not. It's not. In fact, see this. This kind of governance actually hits on the core of a Goan. And the word that I'm saying is pointcounterpoint. We are all Goans here. And you know what we like doing. As I mentioned earlier, we like to work hard. Whatever money we get, we would like to relax and enjoy that. We call that susega. Not lazy, but susega. We like a relaxed life. But contrary to that, you see how the government is making us run. We are not against the BJP, at least I'm not against. I'm not against any political party. All that I'm saying is that if BJP had to do the things that the people want and save Goa, there is no need for us activists. We can continue, enjoying our Goan life. But it is because of their selfish greed that ends up getting people like us onto the streets and into the courts. Now,
Right.
we also mentioned about court cases. Besides the one that happened in the south with the 3 linear project.
Yes.
Valencio and myself are also partners of crime in other cases, wherein for the people there was a situation with electricity. Goons were sent to beat us up.
Okay.
So it's not only the police here. The
You are
polit-
fighting on some power issue.
Yeah, electricity had gone.
Right.
Our
Right.
friend Rama Kankonkar was involved, so we were all there. Goons came to the site, beat us up, and we have got cases on us. There's another case of mine that I'm fighting in Kandolim itself, where a person had put an illegal construction in a field. They finally went and registered a case of molestation on a 72-year-old lady by me. So, these kind of things they try to push on us activists because they are able to control the weaker section of society. But activists have become like a power against them, wherein not against their ideology or whatever, but they cannot do the task that they have been given. And that is why we are a thorn in their flesh. So these are the situations that are there. I'm still saying if the government is going to do things that are good, we don't need to be there. Now, just a last point. I'm coming back to the CZMP actually. Nilesh Cabral, who is the Environment Minister, has made this very happy announcement about the port limits being removed from the CZMP. The act still remains, the jurisdiction of the MPA still remains. Okay, removing that is only fooling the people of Goa. Why hasn't he come back telling us that all the other things that we were asked him for have been included or have been removed? For example, many of us have asked them to put the topographic maps in the CZMP, which shows hills in the CRZ area, which shows low-lying areas. Has he done that?
Right. In the CZMP.
In the CZMP. What about the entire coastal belt, which is having the study done on dolphins? We have done. We have roped in experts, and we have produced reports made by students, made by organizations, and we have produced these reports.
Right.
They had made a report of hardly 15 pages or 20 pages.
Right.
We gave them reports of 400 pages, 500. What happened to all this? Can Nilesh please tell us what happened to all this?
Right. Important point. Now the thing is, I'm afraid we need to wrap this up. We never have enough time because the discussions can go on and on. But each word spoken by our eminent panelists is so important and right from the beginning to the end. In conclusion, all one will say is this: that the current government, the current BJP government, has been elected to power. It has got 20 MLAs. It is there in a majority. It has an opportunity to do good in the next 5 years. And as Roshan said, that if the government becomes sensitive, if the government works with the people, government understands where the problem lies, and if Minister Babu Kavlekar's comment in the assembly in response to an LAQ where he says that he is aware of the dangers of the MPA and what it would do, the Ports Authority would do if the government is sensitive to this and the government understands this, then it is very vital that this understanding is taken to its logical conclusion. Because if the government starts working for the people, then there will really be no need for any kind of activism. But for the moment, more power to the people who are fighting for their brethren in Goa, and more power to people who are helping them, which includes our lawyers and researchers, people behind the scenes. And I think this is a very good time to salute all of those who are protecting to keep Goa standing on its own 2 feet. Thank you very much, all of you, for this very important discussion. It has been an absolute pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.